Well, I am Jennifer Stachler. I am a registered dietitian. Have any of you heard of a dietitian? What that is? All right. I work with a lot of things about nutrition and food and eating healthy is what we look at.
And my name is Dugan Wetzel. I am the chef at Reed Health. So everybody seen cooking shows or know what a chef is?
I watched
About 4 of you?
Yes.
Double dives, there we go. Yes, absolutely. Okay, yeah.
So we have Dugan's a chef, I'm a dietitian, and today we're going to be making pancakes. How many of you like pancakes out there? All right. Now, I will tell you, I'm a dietitian. I love to cook. Dugan enjoys cooking as well. We do a bunch of different healthy cooking classes. And when we talk healthy cooking classes, we're not going to talk about your basic pancake recipe. How many of you maybe have ever made pancakes and it comes out of a box? Okay, we're going to make pancakes from scratch, right from the ingredients that most of you can find in your pantry at home probably. But with being a dietitian, and I like to make things extra healthy, I like to make pancakes a little bit more special. So I have a 5-year-old daughter at home and a 3-year-old son. So they are kind of like my guinea pigs. So when I try new recipes, they get to try them and I get to know if they'll like them or not. So my kids enjoyed the recipes and the pancakes we have, so hopefully each of you will as well. One thing that we're doing different with these pancakes is we're going to be adding secret ingredients. Does anybody want to guess what we might add in the pancakes? What do you think we're adding? We are going to add actually carrots.
Yes.
Those things right there.
Yeah, does anybody know what these vegetables are right up here? Beets. Have any of you had a beet?
It makes me want beets.
Oh my God. Okay, so many of you might be thinking of what most often we do, typically pickle beets. These beets, we're actually going to puree them and put them into pancakes.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you, we've made these pancakes before. I make them for my kids at home. They can't taste the beets in them. But you know what? You see what color are those beets? Purple, red. So these pancakes are going to be a nice pink red color. And I actually made these Christmas morning for my kids, and I made them in the shapes of Rudolph, and I called them Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer pancakes. And they couldn't taste them, the beets in it. So they're really flavorful, so we're going to get started making red beet pancakes.
Absolutely. So, yes, like Jennifer said, this is from scratch, very, very simple. Has everybody heard of Bisquick? You see the yellow box? It's all the white flour. So what we're actually going to do is take same thing that is in there, white flour, okay? But we're only going to put about half of what we normally would put in there. We are going to make it healthy.
Yes.
And substitute whole grain flour. Now, has anybody ever eaten anything with whole grain before? Does anybody know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Whole grain bread, whole grain tortillas, whole grain crackers. It's going to have more fiber in there and more nutrition, more vitamins like your B vitamins, your magnesium, potassium, all those fun things. Do you have a question? No? So
Texture,
definitely whole
too.
grains.
Yeah, whole grains are important. Also, texture-wise, they have a little bit of a grit to them. So I don't really like mushy food myself. I like different textures in anything I eat. And this is a good way to add some of that texture, some of that grit to your pancake. So the only other thing that we're going to add to it is baking soda, or baking powder. Has anybody heard of baking powder before?
Does anybody know what it does in pancakes? Do you know why we add it?
Make them puffy.
Absolutely.
There it is.
Yeah, you
Perfect.
guys are smart. It's going to make them fluff up, make them light, airy, and fluffy for you. Because we all love fluffy pancakes.
That's it for your dry ingredients. You've got them mixed together. You're going to take a whisk. Everybody's got a whisk at home. You're just going to stir them up so that everything's blended together. And that's it. Very, very simple. It's all blended and ready to go. So your next step, sorry,
That's typically what we find in the box when you buy them at the store.
Yeah, that's all it is.
So most of the time, do all of you tend to have flour at home? Baking powder, baking soda? And sometimes you might add salt or something to that. That's the basic for your most pancakes out there. And then we can add whatever ingredients we want to that.
We're melting butter right now. While we're melting butter, we are going to crack some eggs. You like cracking eggs?
Dugan has a trick with cracking eggs.
I don't, you can call it a trick, I guess. It's a easy way to keep the shells out. Have you ever cracked eggs and had shells go in your bowl? Yeah? It's almost impossible to get them out. You got to stick your fingers in there and just make it all just nasty. Easy way to do it at home. Take 2 eggs like this, crack them on each other. So one will always stay, the other one cracks. So no matter how hard you hit it, you're going to have one that stays intact and one that cracks every time. So shell stays together. There's no shell in there. Same thing. You just keep going. We're going to put 6 eggs in here.
I always tell my kiddos at home, my son and my daughter, it's a trick, because if you think you're going to smash 2 eggs together, you think both of them are going to break, right? Yeah, but they don't. Only one will ever break. You'll never get both of them. Unless you smash hard enough, then both of them will break.
Yeah.
If you tap them together, only one will crack open. Question? Grits?
I love grits.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
There's a couple of things. And hopefully we'll get you some information how you can watch some more online or on local television.
Okay, so we've cracked all of our eggs. Like I said, cleanup's real easy. There's no shells or anything in there. It's all taken care of. Our eggs are in our blender. Now you guys crack eggs at home, so you guys wash your hands afterwards, right? Super important to wash your hands afterwards. I'm using gloves, so I should wash my hands, but we don't have one here, so I'm going to switch my gloves out. Our butter, everybody saw that butter that I was adding in there. That's a lot of butter. You didn't see butter in there? Some of you did. There. See all that? It's not greasy, it's just the fat. Butter is part fat, part milk, so when it melts, it kind of separates.
It's so much butter, but it was a big piece.
It is.
So
Absolutely. See it? Yeah. So, when you're melting your butter, you can stop right here after it's completely melted. But for myself, again, I'm all about flavor. I'm all about making things taste good. I'm going to let that go for a little bit until it turns brown. You guys eat nuts? Anybody like almonds and things like that? We don't need to worry about that. There's no nuts in it. But you get that flavor. It kind of turns it into a nutty aroma, a nice taste to it. We're going to take it and put it straight in here once we're done. So we'll let that go for a couple minutes. We're going to add the rest of our wet ingredients. Vanilla. Everyone likes vanilla.
It's a great way to add flavor without adding extra like calories or sugar or other things to our recipes.
Yogurt.
That is yogurt.
Greek yogurt.
It's going to add some more texture, and it's going to make the taste of the pancake a little bit more richer for us.
Yeah.
And it's going to add some protein. Yogurt has a great amount of protein, calcium, and depending on some of them, can add some other nutrients as well.
Absolutely. So that is all in our blender. The next thing that we're going to do is our secret ingredient, which is our beet. Has anybody eaten beets before? Yeah? You heard about them? Of the 3 of you that have had beets, do you like them? Do you like them?
Okay.
No?
And that's why I'm going to strongly encourage you guys to try the pancake, because again,
Absolutely.
most often you're not going to taste the beets in this pancake.
You won't even, yeah. Beets are sweet. Yeah, there will be. The beets are sweet. They're actually a nice addition to this. We take away sugar. No syrup, not on this one. Yeah, you're just going to eat the pancake.
Yeah, these pancakes are going to be so sweet you're not going to need syrup.
Absolutely.
My kids don't use syrup on their pancakes because they're sweet enough the way they are.
So, beets. Everybody's seen beets. Everybody knows that they're really hard. We put these in the oven and roast them until they're super soft. Soft enough. These still have the skin on them here. You just take your thumb and rub it, and that skin peels right off.
See all that purple coloring there?
So this is going to turn them a really nice red, pinkish color when it's added to everything.
So we would advise possibly if you have gloves and you make this recipe,
Oh yeah.
I would wear gloves. Because if you guys do this with your bare hands, you know what's going to happen to your hands. It will come off after you wash them a couple times, but they might be a little bit red afterwards.
So we're just gonna run through. What things?
Those are
It's the root. Yeah, the thing that goes in the ground, where they get all the nutrients from the
Yep, it's a
soil.
root vegetable. So. Yep.
So this is very, very simple.
We did not get these from the garden. We actually got these from the grocery store.
Yeah.
It's not the time of season to grow things in the garden quite yet.
We're getting there. Yeah.
A greenhouse? Oh, I love greenhouse. Anybody work in a garden before or grow things? Yeah. Oh, it's fun to see them when you plant them, you grow them, then you can harvest them, then you cook with them later. I think that's a fantastic thing to do. I grew up on a farm, so I did a lot of planting in the garden. And I had fresh eggs because we had chickens that were running around, so we got to collect eggs. So I think it's a great way to see where your food comes from.
Okay. So that we have them peeled here, all the skins are completely off of them. Knife. We're going to use just a small knife because you don't need anything big. They're completely soft, so it's actually easy to cut right through them. Very, very easy. We're just going to cut them into little pieces. Doesn't really matter what they look like because they're all getting blended anyways.
Yep,
so.
we're going to put these in the blender with our wet ingredients, and we're going to incorporate them all.
It does, yeah.
Yeah, it does look
Very
like
much
little
so.
cubes. They're so soft.
Milkshake. I wouldn't recommend drinking it.
It's surprising what you can add beets to, because you can't, I think the most popular way to eat beets, especially where we live, is pickled beets. If anybody's seen that, they pickle them.
Where do you live?
I actually live in Ohio. About an hour, I live about an hour away. But that's something that we have done beets in salads, we've done beets in, we actually made hamburger patties, but instead of using the actual beef or hamburger, we actually use beets.
What about brownies?
To make them. We actually put them in brownies already too.
Yeah.
We put beets in everything. And the nice thing is you don't really taste them, but you get the nutrients from them and you get a vegetable without really knowing there's a vegetable in there. Typically, beets aren't used that often, so we tend to call them underrated beets because they don't get used that much.
What's that?
Underrated. Beets are underrated. Not a lot of people use
That's
them.
your butter. That smells like that the nut butter.
Hopefully we'll encourage you girls to all go home and tell your family about beets, and then you guys can try beets at home.
Absolutely.
Oh, I'm gonna say you have to at least take a bite of the pancake to see if you can actually taste them or not.
I will. I promise. But if it tastes too much like tea,
Because most of the time you're not gonna be able to taste it. I mean, it's not gonna taste like your regular white kind of plain pancakes. We are adding other ingredients that will make it taste a little bit different, but you're not gonna taste that beet straight up.
Absolutely. So the last couple of things that we're going to add, brown sugar.
Now we're gonna make it a little bit sweet.
Give a little bit of sweetness to it.
A little bit.
A little.
it's like a lot.
It looks like a lot, but look how many people are here.
Yeah,
Gotta
we're
think about
making
that.
we're
Yeah.
making a large amount. This
There's-
is more than one serving.
This is going to be for about 30 people. So in reality, it's only about a teaspoon a person. It's not very much. It's about that much. So, yeah. So we're going to go ahead, sit this here. I'm going to put the butter in.
Little one.
Butter goes in, that butter that we browned. Give it some flavor.
Oh, it is brown.
See it?
Yeah.
It looks like it. Brown coffee sugar.
You smell it? You smell that?
Can you smell the butter?
I smell it the first time.
And again,
Smells
like
pretty
Dugan
good.
says, it's gonna give a little nutty flavor to it. And then we're just gonna mix these all up.
That's all it is.
Are we gonna be
See
able
what
to
the
fit
color
that all
is?
in there?
Well, we'll do it a little bit at a time. If need to, we'll put it in there.
Oh, it might be close. Is it nice color? Isn't that
Everybody
a
see
pretty
it?
color?
That's violet.
Pretty cool, right?
So I said
Pretty
it can
nice
make
color.
it.
Feels like
We're gonna add just a little bit of milk to it. There's even more going in. Yeah. Nah, it's got raw egg in there. I wouldn't recommend drinking it. Yeah.
We have to cook the egg.
This is milk. This is skim milk. Yes, and 100% skim milk.
What kind of
Got it.
blender is that?
A Ninja. So, now that that is all mixed, I'm going to move this out of the way real quick.
What do you have to make extra bowls?
Because we got another one we're making. We're making 2 of them today. This one and then a carrot apple pancake. It's pretty good, yeah.
Why are you letting us try this?
To
Well,
broaden
if we're
your
doing a
horizons.
cooking class
Yeah.
and we're making food in front of you, we want you to try the things we're making for you.
No, the thing.
Because we want to show you different ways of making pancakes, different ways of making food, and without trying it, you're not going to know if you like it or not.
Okay, so you guys saw all the flours that we mixed together, the baking powder, yeah, and then everything that we mixed together. Next step, we just blend it. That's all it is.
That's what they do in cooking shows.
Exactly.
Yep, just put everything together.
Put it all together.
And these are things you can do at home too. You guys can,
It's big enough.
all you girls can probably help your parents, your guardians make these things at home. My kids get involved in it and make them at home with me. They love mixing it up right now. Especially my 5-year-old daughter. She loves to get in there and mix it up.
So yeah, just pour it straight in.
It looks like a regular pink mix.
You can describe it as that, yeah, absolutely. And then you just blend it together.
Looks like strawberry milk.
So does everybody like the color of it? It's better than just plain brown or white pancakes, right? It makes it fun. So a lot of times I say you can make this at Christmas time. You can make it on Valentine's Day. Wouldn't that be pretty in the shape of a heart? Or 4th of July was given the idea to me where you could put blueberries on top so you have red and blue for the 4th of July. And maybe a little whipped cream on top for the white, so you got red, white, and blue. So a lot of different holidays that you could use this and make it kind of fun.
Why Easter you can make like what about Halloween? And then like
Easter coming up?
What
Yep.
about Halloween?
That's a pretty hard color to fit in a Halloween, isn't
It's
it?
like purple and yellow.
Oh, I guess purple. You can do that.
Okay.
So we have a griddle here.
Yeah.
We're going to actually bake these off. And we have a spray we're going to be using. How many of you have ever seen anybody use cooking sprays or oils? Okay. The most common you might hear of is vegetable oil, canola oil, olive oil. Have any of you heard of avocado oil? Yeah. So I heard a couple of you talking about avocados before we started. Does everybody like avocados? Okay.
You make it out of guacamole.
You make guacamole out of avocados, yes. This doesn't taste like avocados. It's just an oil. But the nice thing, how many of you have ever heard of good fats? Have you ever heard of good fats? The foods we eat, the fat that's in them, we have what's called good fats and healthy fat, or good fats and bad fats. Avocado oil is full of good fats. I'm going to throw some big words at you. Poly and monounsaturated fats. Have any of you girls heard of those terms?
No.
Monounsaturated and polyunsaturated are healthy, good fats. Those are more that you want in your diet than what's called saturated fats or trans fats, if any of you have heard of those. Those are what we call your maybe bad fats. We don't want as much of them as the good ones. Do you have a
Absolutely.
question?
I know really big words.
They're really big words? Yeah.
Go ahead. Yeah. What's your question?
My cousin has like 3 pairs of avocado socks.
Socks? Yeah.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Avocados are pretty popular right now.
Can you guys make your pancake into Mario?
Maybe.
Into
Give me
Mario?
a squeeze bottle. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's ready.
Okay.
So we're gonna start making these so you guys can try them. Are you ready for some pancakes to try?
Yeah. No.
So we're gonna make nice little, kind of small little pancakes here to try.
Are they gonna be really little?
About this little, just little snack pancakes.
Oh, there goes that. That one's gonna be a little bigger.
It's really warm. Does anybody know when you should flip a pancake?
Oh, when it's burnt on the bottom.
Not probably. You don't want to wait till it's burnt.
Yeah.
When it's like all puffy, like all the bubbles are on the top.
Yes.
is.
Is that what you were gonna say? The bubbles? Yes. So when you start seeing the bubbles come on top, a lot of times that's a good indicator that you need to flip it and cook the other side. It doesn't take that long at all.
Oh no, we're getting there.
Yep. It takes a little patience as we're waiting for these to kind of finish. So what I tend to do when I make these at home, like when I made them for Christmas, I made really big pancakes. Then I took cookie cutters in the shape of Rudolph or a reindeer, and I made a cookie cutter, or I cut it out like a reindeer, and then I put a big, I forget, it's like a decoration kind of,
Like a sixlet,
Into a circle.
like a sixlet type thing.
for the nose. I did a red, cinnamon thing.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I could have done a
okay.
tomato. My son loves tomatoes, but those would have been a little bit big. It's like a decoration that you put on cakes or something, but it's a little red ball that I put on the very front of the nose. All right. So our next recipe that we're going to be doing today for you girls is an apple and carrot pancake. So we're going to be doing apples and carrots inside this pancake. Now this recipe, I will tell you, was developed by myself and another coworker. My coworker has a daughter who has multiple food allergies. She cannot eat eggs, she cannot have oats, she cannot have corn. So there's a lot of things that we kind of have to stay away from. Now when you're making eggs, I guess I gave you the answer. When we're making pancakes, eggs is usually one of the primary ingredients to help bind it and keep the pancake together. Well, this recipe, we're not going to be using eggs at all. We're going to be using a lot of different ingredients. We're not using eggs. We're going to find an egg replacement. So if you can look over here at these ingredients, we have apples here, and you can use any kind of apple. Really, you can kind of have the green ones for more sour. You can kind of have the Macintosh and a lot of these other ones for sweetness. You can use any apple. Carrots. Do you girls see all these fun carrots we have here?
Yeah.
Did all of you know there are so many different colored carrots?
No.
Yeah, what's the most common color we have? It's this color, right? The orange. Do you know what's so important and nice about having different colored carrots?
You can trick somebody.
No, not really. They each have a little bit different nutrition. Every different color vegetable have its own what's called, I'm going to throw a big word out there again, phytochemicals. Have anybody heard that word before? Phytochemicals. Do you know what that can help with? To prevent diseases like cancer. So it can help fight and prevent them. Or it can help live heart healthy, can help you get all those nutrients. So it's pretty cool that we kind of want to, how many of you have ever heard you want to color your plate like a rainbow? Yeah, we want all those different colors because they have great nutrition in there for us. Yeah, do we have some questions about carrots? No? Yes?
So if the natural color we see that we see in the grocery stores and stuff are one, so like so is there more nutrition in other colors than there is in the natural colors?
There is no more in one and less in another. They just might have different ones. Most of the nutrients are going to be closely the same.
Yep.
It's just the different colors, the pigments can provide different nutrition.
Like if the purple could provide one nutrition and the other could provide
Yep.
a different.
And a lot of them we're looking at difference of what we call phytochemicals or antioxidants.
Yeah.
What's that? I've heard of that.
Big word there. It helps fight, prevents disease in the body. So it helps fight off all the bad guys,
Like your good diseases? Right now, like
the bad ones.
The bad ones.
So it help
Just the
fights
bad
all the
ones.
bad germs, let's say that.
get a good disease.
Yeah. So any other questions?
Why don't we see different colors in the grocery stores? Like we only see orange.
It's the most common one available around here. Some of these, unfortunately, are going to cost a little bit more. But you can grow these. It's just harder to find, unfortunately. These girls have questions back here.
So where are they mostly grown?
These colored ones?
Yeah.
You can get them anywhere. It really, it depends on the farmer themselves. They can choose what kind they want to grow. and they can do an assortment like this.
Yep. And it depends on the seed, but again, the most common you're going to find is this one.
Yeah.
Yep. Another question?
Depending on the carrots, like the beets colored it with the carrots, like depending on which color it is, will it color it or will it be different?
It will be a little bit different here because we're not really blending it. We're
They're just
shredding.
getting shredded. And
Yeah.
these actually, when you cook them, turn to this. So like after it's cooked completely, this will bleed out. Like, you know, you don't have any more color. It'll turn white.
I can kind of see the bottom how it's
Yeah,
turning
you
white.
see that?
Yep.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. So once it's cooked, it will kind of blend off and you won't see it anymore. So it really won't change the color very much.
Yep. So we're going to get started real quick, and we might answer some more questions here in a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
but let's get started so we can try these, okay?
So just like the last one, we're gonna do all of our wet ingredients in one bowl and all of our dry ingredients in another.
Do you know why we want to do that at all? Does anybody know why we want to separate wet and dry ingredients?
I think I know.
Okay. Tell us if you think you know what it is.
It might get chunky.
Chunky?
Yep.
Makes it taste different.
Taste different? So maybe Dugan
Anybody
can
else?
tell us here.
Yeah, Chunky's exactly right. You want to mix all of your dry stuff together because then it blends and it incorporates everywhere. Whereas if you just throw it in, you know, ingredient at a
Yep.
time, it makes it a lot harder for everything to separate and be.
Does it taste different if you
It really won't affect the flavor very much. It's just the there's water in there. Just add that there. Thought I already poured it in.
The reason we add that little bit of water is we're hopefully using less oil, so
Yeah.
it's going to be less calories and fat in the actual end of the product. Just making it a little bit more healthy. Not to say that oil's not good for us, because it is. We're just kind of want to decrease it a little bit.
We are getting rid of the egg, and this is just a little thing to take home with you. When you get rid of egg, you can actually substitute it with apple. Has anybody heard of that before? No? Okay. So like if you're making muffins at home and it calls for one egg, you don't have an egg, if you have applesauce in a cupboard or something, you can use a 1/4 cup of applesauce to replace that one egg, and it will help with the moisture. It'll get rid of all the things that you don't necessarily want that you get from the egg, and you know, use an unsweetened one, obviously, because eggs are unsweetened, so
Yep.
you don't want to affect the flavor very much. But yeah,
If you don't have eggs and like a recipe for like steak or something, can you use applesauce?
For
sure can.
What?
With steak,
For eggs, eggs you
that's-
won't really
You
use.
can make a sauce out of apples, so yeah. I mean, you can char them and.
So applesauce are great when you're baking things. It's a great substitute in baking
Yeah.
for eggs.
Yeah.
So anytime you bake things.
Okay, so like Jennifer said, we aren't really blending these. We're just going to shred them because you want them to be in little pieces. So everybody's seen this before. Everybody knows what this is. It's a box shredder. Yeah. Yes.
Which side are you using?
I am going to use the smaller side because we don't want big chunks because you're doing pancake. Yeah, these would just be sheets. This would just be a kind of a design. These would be too big for your pancakes. You don't want strands of carrot, so you want to use the small one. That'll help kind of incorporate them so you don't know they're there. But yeah, just take them and just go straight into it. What's that? It's just smaller, yeah. Be careful. Don't shred your fingers on
Yeah,
these
you don't want to get
things.
too
That's,
close because you can hurt yourself. I'm always known to hurt my knuckles because I hold it and my knuckles are sitting out and I'll scrape my knuckles on it. Fingers, knuckles.
There we go.
I've gotten very smart over the years to stay clear of my fingers in this. Because I always wanted to use, I'm like, oh, I want to use the whole entire carrot. But the closer you get, the more likely you might cut yourself. So you know what you can do with this recipe? This is what my kids and I do. I'll be grating these, and after I'm done with this, I hand it to them and they start eating it. So it's like they're having a snack while we're making our pancakes. Dinner, breakfast, lunch. I usually like making these pancakes ahead of time, so I usually make a whole bunch. Once you make a whole bunch, you can put it in a freezer-safe bag, and you can store these in the freezer for up to 3 months. So when you want a quick breakfast idea or a quick meal, you can go to the freezer, grab one of the frozen pancakes, put it in a toaster, and let it toast like you would bread. Yeah, you put them right in the toaster. You do the same thing with these homemade ones. Nice thing about when you put it in a toaster, it's going to give it a nice little crunch on the outside. So if you're a texture eater, it's going to be helpful with that because it gives it a crunch, then the inside's going to be soft.
Right. So we've done enough carrots, if you want to.
So can you guys kind of see how we have these shredded up?
Oh, they look like the things you get from McDonald's when the things are all shredded.
Hash browns.
Yeah,
They look like
they do like hash browns. You know what? You can make hash browns out of these.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
I've done that with vegetables,
With
made
oil.
hash browns out of
Just put
vegetables.
oil in a pan and just lay them in
Instead
there.
of potatoes.
Cook them off. Yeah, absolutely.
Isn't it pretty? All the colors. Huh?
We're gonna shred the
Oh yeah,
apple.
you could. These
Yeah.
are carrots. You could eat these carrots. You girls see them back there?
No, we're gonna shred it. But
You could eat these.
I'm gonna use the
Here.
bigger side, only because apples have a lot of water in
Have
them.
you
And if you shred it on that small side, it's just going to turn into an applesauce. So you still want those pieces, those little fragments. So you're going to go with the bigger
Oops.
side with this one,
sure
just
good
because
enough
there's
for
more
everybody.
water in it. So you can see it; it's all wet and shiny.
Want to try some? I'm coming around. Everybody's gonna try these. Did you guys? You want to try some? I'm coming around. They all taste the same, don't they? The one.
So we went ahead and shredded the apple. Like I was saying to the girls up front here, we used the bigger side because there's more water in it. It will turn it to applesauce. You can see it kind of mushes it, and there's really nothing there. There's no texture. So we use the bigger side because that actually turns it into shreds for that one. So those are ready. We're going to add the rest of our dry ingredients.
So we're using an all-purpose flour, and we're using whole wheat flour because again, we want more whole wheat because it's going to provide more fiber. It's going to provide more nutrition. And does anybody know what fiber can help do?
I know you.
It can actually keep you fuller for longer. So if you have meals that have more fiber in it, it can actually help keep you fuller until the next meal arrives. So you're not hungry as much between the meals.
Why does flour, when you put flour in a bowl, why does it puff up? Like, why does it make that smoky?
Because it's granulated down, that it's just a
It's super light.
powder, and
Yeah.
it can just fly everywhere. Has anybody ever had powder or like flour kind of fly everywhere?
We did it here before.
Did it here?
We were making cookies or something.
Yep. When you add cookies and you put it in a blender, like a KitchenAid mixer or something like that, that's what I have at home. If I put the speed too high, too quick, flour just flies everywhere. My kids think it's funny.
Yeah, especially when it gets on your face. That's really funny.
So Dugan is actually adding the rest of our ingredients here as well. We're using a different variety of different ingredients here. We have cinnamon here that we added for flavor.
Yes.
And we're actually using stevia. How many of you have heard of stevia?
Yeah.
Stevia. It's a replacement for granulated sugar. Stevia has no calories, no sodium, no carbs, no nothing in it. But it can be anywhere from 100 to 300 times sweeter than sugar. It actually comes from the stevia leaf. So it comes from it comes from nature, a leaf in nature. And they extract the sweetness out of this leaf to give us stevia. So you can use it in replacement of sugar. You just have to use less of it. Because it's so sweet, you don't want to use the same amount. So if you use 1 cup of sugar, you need a half a cup of stevia.
Why?
Because the stevia is so sweet,
super
you don't
sweet.
need as much.
Yeah.
It's just how it is in nature. It's
Yeah.
just a naturally sweet leaf. Sweet.
Nature, like you can get I always thought you could get medicine from
No. Does anybody know where sugar comes from?
I know. It comes from a type of flour.
You can buy sugar from a lot of cane sugar is probably
Cane
a lot
sugar.
of very popular.
Beet sugar.
You can do beet sugar.
Everything.
So a lot of our sugar comes from nature, and we're just refining it down further and further to make it that what you buy in the store.
Yep. Okay.
So does everybody see what Dugan did here? He added all these different ingredients together, and now we have the base of our dry ingredients with the carrots and the apples.
Yep. So we're going to do the same thing we just did for the last one. Dry and wet, we're going to combine them together. Yeah, it's in there.
Okay.
This is just extra. Yeah.
What we also add was
Flaxseed meal.
we added ground flaxseed. Has anybody heard of ground flaxseed? Kind of just another kind of powder or grain you can add. Ground flaxseed has what's called omega-3 fatty acids. Has anybody heard of that long term? I'm saying a lot of big words today. What I want you to get away with, omega-3 fatty acids are great for your heart, okay? So it keeps your heart very healthy. So it's a good source of nutrients. So that's what we're adding in here, because we want to try to get as much nutrition and something fun that we like to eat each day.
Okay. So that's in there and it's ready to go. Once our griddle heats up, we're going to go ahead and start cooking them off so you guys can sample them again.
So most of the time, do most of you have flour at home?
Yeah.
Baking powder, baking soda at home?
No.
Cinnamon?
Yeah. Wait, my grandma was allergic to this, so no.
So, okay, some cinnamon. Sugar?
Yeah. I have to grab like a whole container of it.
So again, these are the basics for pancakes. Do any of you have apples at home? Carrots? So when you have apples and carrots and you want to make pancakes, just think, oh, I can just add some shredded apples and shredded carrots to my pancakes, and all of a sudden I'm adding extra nutrition. So not only are we getting a grain then, if we're going to eat this for breakfast, we're going to get a fruit and we're going to get a vegetable. I always like to have at least 3 food groups at every single meal. I don't want anything less than that. That way I can ensure that myself and my family are getting all the nutrients they need to eat throughout the day. Question?
If you want to eat healthier, you don't want all the stuff in eggs, you can eat egg beaters because it doesn't stuff.
You could use egg beaters
Could do
as
that.
well.
Yep.
But the only reason we're not adding eggs to this is because my coworker's daughter is allergic to eggs. That's the only reason we had to get rid of them.
Sponsoring this by her?
They came up with the recipe.
We came up with the
for it,
recipe.
yeah.
So she came up with the recipe, and then I added the apple and the carrots to it.
You should see.
So her and I worked together on developing the recipe.
So you're like scientists, like food scientists.
Oh yeah, as dietitians, when we go to school, we take a class called experimental foods. And we're talking about all the scientific backgrounds of why you need like baking soda, why you need baking powder. We have to know what different ingredients, how they work together. So that's something we do have to go to school for that. Does anybody like to cook at home? Or bake? Bake or cook?
I made a cake before.
That is awesome. Do you know cooking can be very good on your math skills as well?
Oh yeah.
Math. Cooking takes
Absolutely.
math. All these things were already measured out to like a half a cup or 1 teaspoon, and a lot of times if we have to double the recipe, we have to add more. Yeah. A lot of math involved in cooking.
Fractions, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh, I love fractions. Those are the best math I've ever done. Oh, and I
Like 1/8 of a cup or 1/4 of a cup. Does anybody know how many fourths of a cup equal 1 cup?
Oh, I know.
4.
There it is.
Yeah, somebody said it. So those are all math skills that can be very helpful when we're learning to cook. So a lot of times I never did good in math in school. I will say that, but I love to cook. And it was one way to help me learn these math skills was to cook at home. It's pretty cool. Any questions? We have a question.
Pancakes look like chocolate ice cream when I pour it on. They just
They look like chocolate
They're
ice
a little
cream.
more thick, yeah. There's not as much liquid in this one.
Yep, these are going to be a little bit more dense. A little bit different type of texture there.
Do you taste the carrots and the thing?
I taste more of the apples and the
Yeah.
cinnamon to this. This is one that I will tell you I can eat very easily without adding syrup to it because it's going to be extra sweet. So these pancakes, actually, when you see they're done, they are a little bit more firmer than what the beets ones. The beets were a little bit more flatter. These are going to be a little bit more thicker just because we have the shredded carrot and the shredded apple in there.
They're going to have more of a brown crust as well because we used oil. You know, we actually put oil in it. And that's the difference between most pancakes and waffles, where waffles have oil in them because you need to get that crispy exterior. That's what we're doing here. So
it's kind of a blending of the two.
all encompassing, yeah. So you're good.
Nice thing is they don't have eggs in them.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, for those of you girls who are trying it, how do you like it? Because this is my favorite pancake recipe. I make this one at home all the time, and I usually always have these in the freezer as a quick breakfast or meal idea. My kids love them. I love them. I love the fact that I'm getting a fruit, a vegetable, and a whole grain all in one recipe.
Thank you.
You girls are welcome.